Good. Now we're going to learn the Dvar Malchut of the Rebbe. Dvar Malchut. Dvar Malchut, these are speeches that the Lubavitcher Rebbe gave. What's going on over here? Here we go. That the Lubavitcher Rebbe gave in 1991. 1991. Okay. Vav. All right, what's the Rebbe talking about here? The Rebbe is trying to drive everybody crazy. That's what the Rebbe is trying to do. Essentially, what the Rebbe is trying to say is don't think that in any way being satisfied with the world the way it is normal. It's not normal. All these, the psychiatrists and the psychologists and all these people that say what normal is just you don't have any problems. And that's not normal. That's not right. That's not healthy. That's wrong. Normal is when there's challenges, responsibilities to be filled, jobs to be done, things to be accomplished. This is especially the whole idea of Viktor Frankl, who he's right, and it seems that he's the only one that's right. I mean, I've learned a lot of these people. They all have ideas, just be satisfied with what there is, be happy, with what you've got. And okay, you have to be happy with what you've got. There's no doubt about it. You must be happy with what you have. Even if you have to be thankful to the Creator for everything that we've got. Everything. Because if not, you'll always be miserable. You can't be miserable. That's how the Tanya starts off. That's all the book of Tanya. You have to be happy with what you've got. But on the other hand, you should never be satisfied spiritually with what you've got. And as long as there is in the world, even one corner of the world where there is suffering, and the people don't know how much God loves them and He's creating them, then that should make you feel bad. Who's going to fix up this whole business? Moshiach. Moshiach is going to make us that we're always constantly feeling our responsibility to improve the world, and consequently, the world will be much better. There won't be all this misery and death and destruction and confusion and ignorance in the world. Okay, so that's what the Rebbe says. Whose job is this to do this? It says the Rebbe, everyone who's listening to me, it's your job. I'm making everyone into an emissary. You are all emissaries of mine. You are all my messengers. And what I'm not much more than a messenger. You are my proxy, you are my representative, says the Rebbe. What does the Rebbe want? Mashiach. The world has to be filled with Mashiach. The world has to be filled with the awareness of God. We have to see that the world is being created brand new every instant, brand new. And that's the whole idea, says the Rebbe, of Rosh Chodesh. Rosh Chodesh is the birth of the moon. The moon comes from nothing to be a little sliver. So the Rebbe asked the question yesterday, why are the Jewish people compared to this new moon? We make the blessing over the moon. We say, God, we Jewish people are like the moon, and we're going to be renewed like the moon. Why this new moon with just a little sliver? Why not the full moon? Full moon, that expresses more what the Jewish people are. The full moon, where the world is filled with godliness and the world was filled with awareness of the Creator. It says like water fills the ocean. That's what godliness is going to. That's better. Why is the Jewish people compared to the new moon? The moon is just a little sliver. It says the reason is because the new moon has a special quality to it, a special message of renewal from nothing. There was no light at all, and suddenly it becomes revealed. There's light. It says, from this, we saying that we can see the difference between them also regarding what a person's connection with God. So God will be Israel by an older person of Israel, Shiodea, that he knows, Umevin, and he understands Hafla'at Elokus, wondrousness of God, al yidei, by means of shlilas kol dargos batorim. Just 1 second, excuse me. This is long. By means of negating all the other aspects of the world. What do we say? What did we say yesterday? When we say that God is great, what does it mean God is great? God is great, not in any type of greatness that we can know. This is God's greatness. When we say God is great, it doesn't mean that he's greater than the sky. He's greater than, we're saying God's greatness is incomparable. Any type of greatness that you can attribute to anything is not existing by God. So God's greatness, it's not a positive term. We're just saying that God's greatness is, look at anything in the world that there is, and if you want to call that great, God is infinitely greater than that. Not just he's bigger than the universe, than what. When we say that God is kind, God is wise, God is powerful, we're not saying he's more powerful than anything there is in the world. We're saying that God is more powerful than anything you can possibly imagine. He's out of the category of any type of power or wisdom or kindness that you can think of. And even more, even outside of the category of kindness or wisdom that the angels can think of. Let's just say in another way, when we talk about God, we say that God exists. We talked about this last time. What does it mean exist? God does not exist in any way we can possibly imagine of what existence is. That's why all these scientists, they call themselves atheists. They say that before the world was created, there was nothing. What does that mean? There was nothing. There was the Big Bang, and then before that, there was nothing. So where did the nothing come from? Nothing doesn't, can you imagine? It was empty space. Empty space is something. It was a vacuum. A vacuum is a thing. It was some sort of a negative existence that from that negative existence came positive. Does that make sense? That's faith. Judaism is saying, no, the point is not so. Up to where you understand, there's a limit. That's definable. But God himself is not definable. And any of the terms that we use in the Kabbalistic terms about Atzilus and Chachma Atzilut and Ein Sof and all these ideas that we use, those are really negative terms. What do you mean negative terms? We're saying that God is wise, but not in any type of wisdom that you can understand. We're negating any type of wisdom that you can possibly comprehend. But God is the source of our wisdom. Just like existence. When we say God exists, he doesn't exist in any way we can possibly understand. He's infinitely more real. Our existence comes from him. God is creating us. So we can't understand what God is. So therefore, the scientists are trying to understand with their minds. Of course they can't understand, because God is not a thing that can be understood. Who does for sure know what God is? Children. Little children, they don't try to use their mind. They just certainly that God exists. Certainly. And yes, of course, the understanding person can say, yeah, sure, children also believe there's a boogeyman under the bed. And the children will believe anything. Says, yeah, that's true. That certainly is true. But children on their own can come to the conclusion that God exists. There must be God. They'll say, thank God. And we see this also with people, also the same thing. Right? A lot of people, before they die, so all of a sudden they get religious. Why? Because they thought they were the boss their whole life. As soon as they start to die, they realize, hey, what's going on? Something's going on that I won't be able to understand. Right? I won't understand. So some of them come to the conclusion that, maybe life is just an amazing gift and it comes from a source that you can't understand. Maybe. I'm not trying to be a psychologist or a psychiatrist and figure out why people do what they do, but what I am saying is that the Rebbe is explaining the idea, and that's the point of Judaism, to explain that God exists, to explain that we should serve God and we should understand, but we have to love God, we have to try to understand God as much as we can, but whatever we understand is just an aspect. It's just an aspect, that's a ray of godliness. What about God himself, does he exist? Yes. How do we know? It's above understanding. And that's the idea of birth, from nothing to something. That's the new moon. That's the point of the Jewish people. As a result of this, mitbateh comes the difference between also the level and the existence of a person that attaches to God. If a person attaches himself to God because of his understanding, a great holy tzaddik, a righteous Jew, that he understands and he grasps the wondrousness of God because of all of these terms, these Kabbalistic terms, that we say that God is wise, but he's not type of any wisdom that we know. So he understands God by negating anything that he can possibly understand, and he understands tremendously high levels. Also, his attachment to God and completion, a complete that is always going to be in relying on a negative way. Shlilas Havana, negating himself, negating his understanding. Ad shlilas metziyoto, until a person feels, I don't really exist. I'm being created by God. And there's what's called Masirut Nefesh. Therefore, I'm willing to give my life for God, because my life is not my life, it's God's life. He negates himself. And because of Agam Az, then he gives himself over to God. Very nice. That's in Judaism. That's like Abraham, right? Wrong. That's not Abraham. Abraham was devoted to God like a child. By a child, that from the beginning, by a child, it's simple that there's God. A child he knows he came from nowhere. It's above any understanding that there's a God and he just knows that God exists. Shagam Yediazu, that this awareness, it's this is not a knowledge, this is his whole being. It's nikra davar b'kol prati, and therefore everything he does, how he eats, how he sleeps. So, okay, that's why education is so important for two reasons. Number one, to educate the child what to do, and also not to mess up his essential pure feeling of what God is. He has to be taught how to use this feeling of God in a proper way, in a productive way, in a beneficial way to himself and to all mankind. But at the same time, he has to realize that it's, even to say, I don't understand God, he's so great that I don't understand him, right? That's putting God into sort of a of a definition. God is greater than understanding. In other words, I have my understanding, and God is relevant to my understanding greater than that. It's not so. It's not even in the category of understanding. It's being, the essential being of the existence of God, and a God that cares. God that cares, and he creates me, and he enlivens me, and he cares about what I do. This is totally incomprehensible, but on the other hand, it's the most real thing there is. The point the Rebbe is trying to say is that intellect is a creation of God. And we have to use our intellect just like we use our arms or our legs to serve God with. But one thing our intellect cannot do is grasp the essence of what God is. It's just a creation. Intellect can only grasp things that are separate from it, that it can look at objectively. But intellect cannot understand, just in a simple way, intellect cannot understand what is life. What is life? Everybody has a soul. They're all alive. Nobody knows what it means. Right? Everybody, even the big atheists, they're alive, and they know they're alive, and they don't know what it means. But it doesn't bother them. They just say that that's. But other people, right? They know that they're alive, and it does bother them. Where does my life come from? What? Well, but Sigma the Torah Chassidus. How does Torah Chassidus teach us this idea that God is totally incomprehensible, but on the other hand, he's infinitely, infinitely close to us? How do we understand that? Eitzel Gadol Yisrael, by a great genius in the Jewish people, Mitgaleit Kashur, his attachment to God is mainly because of revelations of God, and not so much because of his soul. His attachment to God is according to his understanding and his grasping in his mind and in his heart. Above that, will and pleasure. He understands God does something good for him. Ad l'shlemos yitkashus, until he can be totally. We're talking about a genius, holy, righteous Jew, until be attached to God by means of the level which is called yechida, the essence of his soul. He's willing to give his life for God. After all these levels, it's just there's 5 names are called to the soul. Name indicates on certain aspect, even the level of yechida, which is the essence of the Jewish soul, that this is the desire. He wants to go out and be one with the Creator. Right? That's sort of like Abraham, right? We'll see in a way, which is not the case. A child, his kashrus lakodesh baruch hu, his attachment to God is because of esem and neshama. Let's say that this is the difference between Abraham and Isaac. Abraham heard from God to take his son to sacrifice him. Yitzchak did not hear from God. He just believed his father that this is what God wants, and Yitzchak had his own feeling of the certainty of God, and he had this own feeling that my existence is just a big miracle. God is creating me all the time. He just felt it. That's what's called the essence of the soul. This is above all the levels of the soul. This is what's called a portion of God from above. That's what every Jew is. So it's like going to the Holy Temple and coming back and explaining it psychologically and sociologically and mystically and spiritually and everything. But that's not it. That all those things could be true. But the main thing of the Holy Temple is God. You felt God, which is incomprehensible. You can't feel God. It makes no sense. God is creating me. You want to tell me God is creating me? I don't feel that. No one feels it. I've gone around, asked thousands of people. No one feels it. It scientifically cannot be proven. If you take all the psychological tests in the world, it can't be proven. People don't, because you didn't ask enough children. Go ask children if they believe in God. Oh, say, yeah, God is creating me. Little child will believe. That's the proof. Very good. Okay. What's this? This is a new sign here. New sign. What does that mean? I don't know. Maybe it means something. Okay. Is this
I had a question.
saying goodbye? Okay. Just 1 minute. Yeah. Okay. The essence of the soul, that's a portion of God. Okay. One last question. Go on. Usually we don't take questions in the middle, but go on. Because everybody.
Never mind. Go ahead.
That's you? You're Aaron Crane?
I'm Aaron Crane. Yeah, but go ahead. Go ahead with the teaching. I apologize.
If it's a short question, and we'll see if the answer is a short answer. Go on. Let's hear it. Go on. Go.
Okay. I was just curious about the question about the children being closer to God. So I believe there's a teaching that you don't receive your Yatzer HaTov until 12 or 13. So is there like
that's responsibility. That's responsibility. A child knows that God exists, but doesn't know what it means. It doesn't know what it means, right? A child, you ask a child, does God exist? God exists. God creates me. But he can go. But after that, he can, hit his little brother in the head or steal his what. He has no responsibility. Responsibility is only when he's 13 years old. Then he has to do the commandments. But his connection to God, it says, even when he's 8 days old, his connection to God. Because God is not understandable, but we want him to be understandable. That's the whole point of the Torah. And we want God should not just be thinking, I believe in, and it says that the thief prays to God before he steals, to have a successful thievery, because he believes in God. He knows that God exists. But what can you do? God made him into a thief, and he's good at being a thief, but it's going against the Torah. So he believes in God something like a little child does. He doesn't understand anything, but he's just sure that God exists. No doubt about it. And he asks God for help, but he's asking God to help him to make a robbery, which is the opposite. And he'll find a way to figure it out. So, right, a little child. I mean, it could be that if you make a survey and ask little children, who get their parents' permission. Yes, we're talking about Jewish children, especially. By the way, we're talking about especially Jewish children. Is that every Jew naturally has what's called a second soul, and the second soul is a portion of God, and he knows without any doubt that God exists. But you have to have education. Education, you can't leave it that way. You have to know how to make use of this. Okay?
Thank you very much, Rabbi.
Ches, ubir an explanation in the service of every single Jew every day. What has this got to do with me and you? It's very nice to give a lecture and to stand up and to wave your hands and get all excited about the essence of the Jewish soul is above everything. But what does it mean day to day, minute to minute, waking up in the morning, brushing your teeth, going to work, meeting people, getting in your car, losing your keys, having to go back, realizing that you left them in the house and your wife left and she locked the door and you've got to go to the next door neighbor and difficulties come. And then you think, and all of a sudden you realize, oh, my keys are in my pocket all the time. And, what do you do? How are you supposed to react to life in general? What are you supposed to do? Hatchalat hayom, the beginning of the day of every single Jew, from a small child until an older person, is you say Moda ani lefanach. Moda ani means, simple translation, I am grateful to you, God, the living Melech Chai v'Kayom, a king that is alive and existing, that you gave me back my soul in mercy. Great is your faith. The simple meaning is you have great faith in me, right? Yesterday I didn't do so great. Nevertheless, you gave me my soul back. That's what we're talking about. Responsibility. Yesterday I didn't fulfill my responsibility to you. I owe you so much. You're creating me. But you have faith in me. So the first thing you wake up in the morning, you say Moda ani. By the way, the Lubavitcher Rebbe wanted to institute this in all of the schools, non-Jewish schools, not non-religious schools, not Jewish schools, all the public schools in America. He wanted to put this in all the public schools in America. That the children, first thing in the morning, I don't know, sometimes first after the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag, before, but they should say, I am grateful to you, God, that you gave me back my soul. Your faith in me is great. Non-Jews, because everybody, when they go to sleep, their soul is inactive. And in the morning, there's God doesn't owe it to you. They have to wake up. It's a big miracle that we wake up. It's an amazing miracle that we go to sleep and you relinquish. You have a special, every house has the special sort of semi-death room. It's called the bedroom. You go there and you die. You go to sleep. You don't know what's going on. You don't care. People can break into your house and steal things. The money that you usually would get all angry about. You don't care anything. You're dreaming about becoming a giraffe on Mars or something. Who knows what? And you're enjoying yourself in the dream. And your soul is like out of your body. Then suddenly in the morning you wake up. Oh, I woke up. So you should give thanks to God first thing in the morning. The Rebbe wanted to institute this in all the schools. And for not very nice reasons, it wasn't instituted. So the Rebbe said, okay, so have a moment of silence. And they opposed that also. Anyway, but there are some states, I think, where they do have a moment of silence in the morning. After they say the Pledge of Allegiance, whatever, they have a moment of silence of 10 seconds or so. In any case, everyone, when you wake up in the morning, the first thing you do before you wash your hands, before anything, is you make sure that you're awake. You sit up, and you're supposed to put your hands like this. Some people say put your hands like this, and you say, Modeh ani lefanecha. I am thankful to you, God, that you gave me back my soul. Take over me out immediately, because you're near Mishnah. So as soon as you wake up in the morning, before you even wash your hands in the morning, religious Jews, they wash their hands first thing in the morning. In Chabad, we have a custom that we put a little bowl next to the bed with a thing filled with water, and you wash your hands next to your bed. And in any case, before you wash your hands, because the hands are impure, it says the impurity of sleep doesn't leave your hands. And so you wash your hands, it gets rid of it. In any case, before you wash your hands, so you say, thank you, God, for giving me back my soul. Hainu sheyasoda avodah. The foundation, the basis of a Jew serving God for the whole day is bittul v'hoda l'kodesh baruch hu. Surrender and gratitude to God. Ad kedei kach, to the degree she'od lifnei shenirgeshet metziut adam, that even before a person feels his self, his ani, there is already bittul, a surrender to God. Modeh. Said, I am grateful to you, God. But that's not how we say it. That's how you say it in English. I am grateful. But in Hebrew, they say, grateful am I to you, God. Grateful am I. to you, God. In other words, the gratitude that God creates us and that God enlivens us and that God brought me back to life and He gave me back my soul. The gratitude is even before my personality. That's like the little child before he becomes a man. Shazel, this is the bittul ahoda. This one. Thunder outside. It's going to rain. Israel needs rain. Because of this essence of the soul, not because of any feelings that he has or understanding. First thing in the morning, he says, grateful am I to you. Before he even knows who his I is, he just knows I'm aware, I'm awake. Yeshlam, or we can say that this is also hinted at the word moda. Moda, the word moda is the numerical value of 55. 55 is nun hey, is the word hein. Hein means a yes. Sharomez al etzem, this hints at the essence, sham kavanat etzem hanashama, that this is the essence of the soul. Yes. But Yeshlomo, we can say, Sha'al Zen Ne'emar, it says, Hein am levadav, yes, they are a nation alone, they exist. Ha'etzem shalamayla, this is the essence which is above. The Jewish people, this is one of the blessings that came out of the mouth of Bilam. Bilam wanted to curse the Jews, and God transformed it into blessings. And so only blessings came out. And he said, Hein am levad badad ishkon. The Jewish people are a nation that exists alone. It's a big blessing. They're alone with God, so to speak. Hein means they are. Yes. Ha'etzem shalamayla, this is the essence which is above any level of the soul, even the highest, the fifth level of the soul. Hakashura, which is miucheresim yachid shalom, which is connected to the essence of God. There's a level which is, the soul has 5 levels. Nefesh, ruach, neshama, chaya, and yechida. Nefesh mostly is the soul aspect that enables us to act, to do, to move. Ruach is more the emotions, the ability to love, the ability to be forceful, the ability to appreciate, have goals, purposes in life. That's the emotions. That's ruach. Neshama is the intellect, the ability to understand God, the ability to contemplate God. Chaya is more connected to willpower. Willpower, you can change all the below. You can make yourself into a new mind and new emotions, new action, willpower. Above that is pleasure. Pleasure is like your innermost motivation to do things. The real you. It says the Rebbe, there's a higher level than that. There's the godliness. Godliness is not even you. Godliness is the pure kindness, essence of God above any you, that creates you, that makes you wake up in the morning, that gives you back your you. Your you is this level of yechida. And the essence is the connection with God, the godliness. That's what it says, hein. That's what it says, hein laHashem Elokecha Hashemayim. There is to God the heavens and the earth, B'Shemei Hashemayim B'Kol Hashabam, and everything that's in them. Hein means yes, or it is. In English, in Hebrew, they say yesh, there is. More, this indicates on a level which is before and higher than any of the other levels. Higher than anything that's revealed, anything that's concealed, the highest levels of the soul. How much more so above the heavens and the heavens of the heavens. This is all what everyone feels in the morning as soon as you wake up. I'm here. And even before I'm here, it's like here, being. Since this level, the fifth level of the soul, is only just a name of the essence of the soul, and it's not the essence of the soul itself. So therefore, we have to say that there is something which is before your ani. There must be something which is before yourself. Excuse me. That your essence, your yechida, can be negated too. This is your attachment to the essence of God, which is above any sort of a level. We can say that this is stressed by what it says when a person wakes up from his sleep and he becomes a new creation. This is going to be talking about the renewal of the moon. Like a child that's just born, even before he begins to say Modeani, wakes up in the morning. When a person says in the morning, Modeani, I'm grateful to you in the morning, I am grateful, where does this gratitude come from? The gratitude comes from just his awareness. This is a tenua of bittul b'hodah. This is when he says, I am grateful, means you're doing something. You're surrendering yourself, thought, speech, action. Even moving your lips is an action. It's going out of who you really are, your essence. Before that, and even higher than this, there's the revelation of your essence as it is in your essence. The fact that you just wake up before you even say anything, before you realize that you're awake, before you even begin any movement or speech or recognition, the second that you wake up in the morning, there is nothing except just for pure revelation. Just your existence. That because you are in existence, and because your existence is one with the creator of all existence, and especially the Jewish people, like it says, the Jewish people and God are totally one. So waking this up means waking up your essence. So what's the Rebbe trying to tell us here? He's trying to tell us that godliness is so available to us. It's so available to us that it's incomprehensible. It is the fact that we wake up in the morning, before we even understand that we woke up in the morning, says that's a little bit of a glimpse of God. And especially by a Jew, because it says the Jews, when they wake up in the morning, this wakes up their whole being, and the essence of the Jew is a Jew has a second soul. A Jew feels essentially that he's here for a purpose. Everyone feels that. But a non-Jew feels he has a purpose to improve the world. And a Jew feels that he has a purpose to improve the world the way God wants. That's every Jew feels this in his essence. But you have to have education in order to make us aware of this feeling. Right? It's like having a person that's, let's say Beethoven, if he was born deaf, and he never knew music, never heard music before, right? And somebody all of a sudden does an operation on him and he can start to hear, all of a sudden he starts getting these ideas in his mind and harmonies. And it's the same thing. Everybody to a degree is born. Every Jew in any case is born with this awareness of the essence of God and the essence of the soul. But you have to be educated. But nevertheless, it's there. And it's revealed to us anew every morning. According to this, now we can understand why it is that when a person wakes up in his morning, this is the foundation of everything of serving God, which comes afterwards in the course of the whole day. But this is a revelation from below to above. First of all, a person wakes up in the morning as that's the revelation of the essence of a soul. Then afterwards, you give thanks. That's the level of yechida. This when you say modeh ani, grateful am I. Then afterwards, then you wash your hands. Then you start making blessings, and you say, God, the soul that you put. You have a siddur, a Jewish prayer book, to understand a little bit what the Rebbe is saying. But those of you that have one or that pray every morning, now the Rebbe is giving a little bit of a deeper explanation of what's going on. First thing is you wake up. That's the essence of the soul. Then you say modeh ani. That's the level of yechida. Then after that, you start to make blessings. God, the soul that you put into me is pure. What does it mean, pure? This is how the soul is coming out of its essence. Ata yatzarta, ata nafachta bi. You created it. Tahorahi, that's already the soul in the level of atzilut. That's something like the level of chaya. Then you barata, you created it. That's like the level of neshama. Yatzarta, that's like ruach. Adnafachtabi, that you blew it into me, that's the lowest level of the soul, that's nefesh. Shakaya, this refers to the different levels of the soul, how they are in Atzilut, in Bria, Yetzira, and Asiya. These four dimensions of godliness are also four dimensions of the soul. This corresponds to the four levels of the soul: Chaya, Neshama, Ruach, and Nefesh, like I said before. And after this, all the other blessings in the morning, the rabbi said, this is according to how the world, according to how you interact with the world every day, and especially more in the service of prayer. And when you start to pray in the morning, is there's four levels, rungs. How do you say rungs? Rungs of, like a ladder has rungs on it, right? So it says the four rungs of prayer, which correspond to the four different worlds: Atzilut, Bria, Asir, and Asiya. There's a lot of Sephardic Sidurim, prayer books that start off. The first is the prayer of Asiya, and then you start to request things from God. And after that, there's drawn, you go into the world. You finish praying, you go into the world. After you sit and learn Torah a little bit, and then you have to, so all of these are talking about how to prepare yourself and bring from your essence awareness and connection to the Creator, to the feeling of your responsibility to the Creator. And then you start to awaken that also in prayer, the different aspects of your soul that you can use your willpower to serve God and your understanding to serve God. That's Chaya and Neshama. And your emotions to serve God. That's the power, the whole aspect of the soul, which is called Ruach. And then the Nefesh, which is the aspect of the soul, which is action to serve the Creator, to make for God a dira b'tachtonim, to bring this essence feeling that you had in the morning, to bring this into the physical world. That's what every Jew should do, what every Jew has been doing, what we've been doing since the Torah has been given. It's 3,000 years. And for some reason, we're still in this terrible exile, and we're going to go out of it in one moment now. Tomorrow, we'll continue. Now let's learn the Yom Yom. We'll learn the Yom Yom. So, no, you can close for individual people. You can close the video so that everyone else can see, and people don't want to see, don't have to see. Okay, let's go. Here we go. 1 minute. Got to turn this off. Turn it